My name is Deborah Anderson, and this year I completed over 600 miles in the state of Wyoming with the theme of the hike to raise awareness for generational trauma. The next question is going to be, what is generational trauma? Generational trauma is trauma that is passed down from generation to generation in a diluted form. It takes about 3 generations to get it all out. So in my family, an example would be my father and mother not dealing with their life stressors very well. And us children, my sisters, my siblings, my brothers, we experienced what's called big T trauma. And that's the trauma of actually, physical abuse, neglect, poverty, alcoholism. But my nieces and nephews and my children are experiencing a diluted form of that trauma that was passed on to them. And so in my family, for example, there is a very traumatic event that comes with cleaning house for my sister, which is now in a diluted form in my nieces and nephews of an anxiety around cleaning house. That is their generational trauma. They personally did not experience that trauma, but they experienced it because every time the house cleaning came around, my sister responded with her trauma response, which was fear, anxiety, pressure. I'm not doing it well. I'm not doing it right. I'm going to get beat, right? That she didn't do to her kids, but they experienced her experience it. And so they picked up that housekeeping is a traumatic event. It's full of anxiety and stress. And so now they have issues surrounding cleaning house. It's not anything that affects everybody's life, and people don't recognize it. That it doesn't belong to them. It belongs to the generation before them, even the generation before that sometimes. That's generational trauma. So I was experiencing what's called complex post-traumatic distress disorder from my trauma that I experienced firsthand, my big T trauma. But I was also experiencing little T trauma from my father and mother's issues that they were passing on through that sort of thing. And I got to a point where I was desperate. I couldn't find a way to get past it, to move on with my life. And so I started hiking as a way to cope with it. And as I started hiking, I found that it was a perfect metaphor for life. Hiking is a perfect metaphor for life. And I went through my life each season, and I talk about my generational trauma and how it fits. And so that's what I do. I hike and I talk about generational trauma. If you want to hear more about generational trauma, and trigger warning, it's tough, it's dark, it's raw, it's real. You can check out my other videos, my webpage, my Facebook. My Instagram is DJ on the Trail. That's me, Debbie Jones Anderson. That's my Facebook, Debbie Jones Anderson. My webpage is hikeforhealing.org. If you want to know more, if you are suffering, if you're having issues, depression, anxiety, addiction, relationship issues, those are all forms of trauma-produced issues. Check out my stuff.